That's a little better. So it's windy out, and I'm trying to avoid the direct wind noise. So you may hear some trees blowing around, but I actually don't mind that. I don't like the wind hitting the speakers. So with all that out of the way, nothing more to say. It's Steve-O. I hope everything is going well with you and that you are taking care of yourselves and the ones that you love. Girls, if you ever chance upon this video, I love all of you the most. I want to have a discussion about my biggest issue with Christianity and getting comfortable as a Christian. One moment, let me get adjusted here. There's not going to be any cool camera angles this time today, so if that's something you enjoy, I apologize. This is also going to be shorter because I just don't think there's much to talk about, but I always say that and they end up being longer than I anticipate. So I'm struggling, I can't say lately, because again, I'm only now roughly 2 months into being a Christian. So I can't say it's something I'm recently struggling with, but and I guess in terms of my life I am. I'm going to quiet down for a moment in case that wind is coming out really bad. So it's kind of windy. If there's odd jump cuts, it's because I'm going to kind of hush right in the middle of it getting windy. I'm hoping it doesn't come out with the bad sound because it sounds so nice. I'm hoping that's the audio I'll catch, not again the wind blasting through the speakers. But about my issues with trust, I need to preface some things, or preface this with some things. I have a high cluster of what would be considered narcissistic and probably sociopathic personality traits. You'll hear me often say, and I want to say here before I get into further things, you'll hear me say things like normal, good, bad, things like that. It's not meant judgmentally. It's just, this is off the cuff. I don't have any script. It's just my stick and my water and my device. So this is informal. This is not something I'm rehearsing and going out, after studying and getting terminology and comparing notes and then freestyling this. But so and this is an example when I say I was not raised right. I'm not normal in that regards. It's not to go off onto this long diatribe. In my experience, the overwhelming majority, I cannot think of anything sinful in my life that is not born from the way I was raised and not raised. Trust is one of those things. So let's talk about that specific. I want to talk about that specific. When I say I wasn't raised right, my father was not around much. If he was, it was terrifying. And not going into it, I talk about it in a couple of my other videos, but oversimplified, I in some way understood not to be like that, but I also normalized all that. But in the absence of having someone to emulate, someone to try to be, to look to for guidance, I didn't have that, and I knew that was bad, but I didn't in the opposite direction. Okay, well then what do I be in the absence of that? What is the absence? Now, because I normalized all that but didn't want to be that, I was a step down subconsciously. What I'm talking about with my inability to trust, and this is where I say things like normal, blah blah blah, and I don't mean it offensively, I don't trust like normal people. When I trust, it's ego, it is self-centered, a mathematical outcome, more of instead of trust, it was appreciation. And I don't mean appreciation like I appreciate you as a good person. I mean more of something monetarily or in terms of value appreciating, meaning even if I give you my time, it's because I assume that will multiply into something more for me. And if not, then mathematically there was no reason to be around you. That's one of the ways, a simple way of how I would break down trust. So it frustrates me very much when people say, oh, just trust in Jesus, trust in the Bible, trust in his word. I can honestly say, yes, I do, but what I'm not saying is I'm trusting it like the definition of what you are trying to tell me to do, because I don't know how to do that. Again, these are these sociopathic traits. It's difficult for me. I don't stutter very much, but this is one of those moments, because even trying for me to try to articulate what that even is, it's not trust to me. Again, that's where what you people call trust is something I look at as something beyond trust. I feel at sometimes incredibly disconnected, not only from God and Jesus, and I'll attest to this in a moment, because the answer to that is I found, and it's so beautiful. And I wish I could find a similar solution with people. That's my other issue, is that's trying to, so now I know not to trust people as mathematical equations to maximize gain and profit or whatever. But now I'm struggling. Well, now what? I don't know. I don't have an answer to do that. Now that frustrates me. That's why I said I feel incredibly at times I feel disconnected from everybody, from people in general. That's why I feel so isolated, and partially because I'm so isolated. But the times I feel disconnected from God, specifically from Jesus, the answer to me, this is where a wretch like me has a chance. When I close my eyes and I speak to Jesus, I think I said this in my Psychology of Prayer video, where I fall in the mentality that I'm talking to a person who I need to pick the right words, avoid the wrong words, not trigger them in some way. I don't mean that negatively. To make sure I'm empathetic. I talk a lot about the fact that I can't treat people as I want to be treated, because I want to be treated more abrasively, more directly. I want all that. So I feel disconnected. Now, while I say I don't have an answer for that with people at the moment, because maybe that's where I'm not there yet. I can close my eyes and pray. And Jesus understands probably better than I do the sincerity of what I am attempting to do. I often talk about the concept of salvation via grace or works, and how they're the flip sides of the same coin. Again, what is the value of a coin? The heads or the tails? The side with the date or the side with a picture? The side with an eagle or the side with a snake? The side with a flag or the side with a building? Neither make it more valuable. For somebody like me, who can't right now trust you or Jesus the way Jesus would love for me to, Jesus can see what I'm trying to do with things like this, with my works, with trying to ask people what guidance they can give me, point me in the right directions, give me your experiences. Cicada. Again, I don't have to find the right words to explain to Jesus what I feel and what I'm trying to do, because before those thoughts formed, he knew. And that is the saving grace mentally for me in all of this. And that, in various ways, I've come to the conclusion I'm going to be alone. And I'll make a video about that aspect, but aside from Jesus. And that, again, where I have been coming to that conclusion for a while, I can't say, that's why I say I feel incorrect saying I am alone, because I'm not, because Jesus is there with me. And Jesus has been with me. Jesus was with me when I didn't recognize him. Then Jesus was with me when I scorned him and tried to beat him and shove him away and deny him and curse him away and all of that. That is my saving grace, is that, again, every time I close my eyes and I pray, Jesus is not hearing my inability to speak, my inability to think, my inability to be compassionate, my inability to recognize words the same way normal people do, to see things the right way, the wrong way. It's one of those things where I have quite a decent vocabulary. I often struggle when I can't understand things, but this is one of those things where it is just such the freedom it brings, in that again, I do wish there was a person that could fill some of those roles, but now knowing I'm not alone, even when I am alone, is just the most beautiful and, again, enlightening feeling in the world. I'm going to end this video because now, right on cue, they're starting to do the landscaping stuff. I can hear them on both sides, so it's not always sunshine and cicadas here. So I hope everything is going well with you. I hope you're taking care of the ones you love. And until the next time, go easy and go with God. I didn't even hear them. Now they're doing it on the other side of the creek too.